Hello and welcome to part two. Yeah, so that shows that you have already watched part one of the MUET speaking assessment video, and this is part two of my series on speaking assessment. All right. Uh, Actually, I have a very small ear hole and I'm trying to plug in these earpods, otherwise it's hard for me to record. Yeah, okay, I'm not very techno savvy here. Right, I'm going to continue my series on speaking assessment. Don't forget to click on the bell icon to subscribe to my channel. Yes, candidates in part two, they are divided into groups of four, and there is a situation that is given. So you prepare for 3 minutes, like what I told you earlier, and then you are given uh, sort of 8 to 12 minutes for your group discussion. So the aim of this discussion is to arrive at a decision as to which argument, point of view, reasoning, or suggestion is the best or most relevant for the given topic or stimulus. So usually what happens is that if the candidates are fluent, they tend to talk on and on and on and on, and they do not come to a conclusion at the end, which is still fine, but you should try your level best to come to a conclusion. Okay, right. Next. Okay, what are the helpful tips? Okay, you will need to familiarize yourself with language functions like turn taking, asking for information, making suggestions, giving reasons, giving opinions, persuading. I'll go into all the details possibly afterwards once I go to this particular slides. But most importantly, I think you need to listen to what the others are saying and then respond appropriately. All right. And of course, nonverbal cues are also important. Nodding will show that you agree to what the other person is saying. But of course, we just do not want you to just nod, okay? Or disagree by just shaking your head, like a lot of candidates tend to do that. Okay, you need to verbally say it out as well, because you're being assessed for speaking ability, not on your not non-verbal communication, right? Okay, so you need to cooperate with the other members of the group so that the discussion is carried out smoothly. If the another group member is quiet, you need to ask relevant questions, prompt him or her to draw that person into the discussion. So usually we can see sometimes if the candidates are proficient, what they will do is they will try to interact with those other candidates who are not very proficient. All right, and that shows that you are contributing to the discussion. Okay, and you need to link the others contributions to the discussion. Okay, at the end of the discussion, like I said just now, try to come to a conclusion or the best solution on course of action to take. Okay, now, what is the assessment criteria? So in this in part two, we are going to talk a little bit more on the assessment criteria. So in the speaking skill, you have two parts. Part one, which is your individual presentation, a total of 18 marks. Okay, so what are the 18 marks assessed on? There are three parts for part one, which is the first is task fulfillment, the second is discourse management, and the third is language. So so each part there are 6 marks. So for task fulfillment, 6 marks, for discourse management, 6 marks, and language, 6 marks. Okay, let's go into task fulfillment. What does it mean to address the task effectively with excellent development and ideas? So here we we are looking at your ability to come up with the content that is relevant to the question. Okay, meaning your 2 points or the 3 points that you are talking about in your individual presentation, are they relevant? Okay, and are you answering the question that is given? So and this level of sophistication, all right, for those candidates who are fluent, they are able to bring in, all right, current issues, quotations, idiomatic expressions, or even proverbs, okay, in their presentation. Okay, but the most importantly is your 2 points. How are you elaborating it, and are you, elaborating it in a manner that is mature? Okay, like for example, if I were to give you the situation just now, which I gave you earlier, you are to buy a book for Teacher's Day for your favorite teacher, maybe Madam Jai, for example. Would anybody like to buy me a book? What kind of book would your teacher like? Shouldn't be saying, oh, okay, maybe I will buy a book, maybe Gila Gila magazine, for example, for my teacher. So there is, you see, that is the lack of maturity in the candidate's response, as compared to a student who says, for example, uh, if I were given a chance, I would like to buy a book for my favorite teacher who teaches me Moet, Madam Jai. I would like to buy her a book by her favorite author. Definitely, if I were to give her a book, I would need to know who her favorite author is. And therefore, I need to know my teacher well. As the saying goes, the famous saying goes, right? To know somebody is to love somebody. And because I love my teacher, I need to know her. And the last time I was talking to her, I saw her reading books written by Randy Pausch. The title was The Last Lecture. So I know that she's really passionate about teaching. I would like to look into books that are into self-development and motivation. So you see, the idea is well developed there. Okay, right? And of course, that level of sophistication. Now, this is something that I just thought of, but of course, you need to, really elaborate on your ideas. Okay, right. Next is discourse management. Very fluent with occasional hesitation. Okay, some of you may want to join the Toastmasters Club, because how do we test the fluency? With the number of of the r's, okay, right? So try to minimize your and your r's while speaking, and speak coherently using cohesive features. You can use speech markers like firstly, secondly, nevertheless, furthermore, okay, although, all right, my last final point, all those cohesive devices are essential, all right, to actually add to the um, how you are speaking well. And lastly, language. Excellent control of a wide range of grammatical forms, present tense or past tense, and of course your subject verb agreement, okay, your word choice, okay, like say for example you say a good relationship, or uh, instead of good relationship, excellent relationship, or instead of saying there were candidates who were speaking. I can't remember exactly. They were saying like uh, not improve relationship, but it said increase relationship. Yeah. How do you increase relationship? Instead of increase relationship, it would be better if you say improve the relationship. Okay, so that is where your wide range of vocabulary is essential. Okay, highly intelligible. Okay, right, but your ideas, all right, pronunciation has to be clear, no noticeable errors in stress and intonation patterns. So candidates, you need to speak in a tone that is like a music, going up and down, not on a level out tone, which is going to be boring. Okay, and if you are so boring, the examiners may fall asleep, and you do not want to do that. Yeah, you want the examiners to listen to you. Okay, so try to practice pronouncing, and also intone for your intonation pattern as well. Okay, next, what about part two? Okay, part two, you are being tested for 4 parts, okay, which is topic development, 6 marks, interactive communication, 6 marks, discourse management, 6 marks, and lastly, language, 6 marks. That's why it's 4 parts and it's 24 marks in total. Okay, how do we go into each part now? Okay, topic development. Of course, the ideas are sophisticated, well developed, convincingly expressed. So here, the convincing part is very important, because how are you going to convince the examiners, not only your group members, that your ideas are excellent? Okay, so the other part is relate own contributions skillfully to those of others, other speakers. So how are you relating your point with the other speakers' points? So there is a link usually, okay, and good speakers would be able to link the ideas well. Okay, interaction. Okay, later I will go into the details. Maybe I might need to do a part 3 of this video to show you how to interact well. Okay, so part 3 will focus on that. Okay, I'm so sorry. There's so much to cover in so little time, but I thank God during these STPM exams that are going on, and I do have time to you know do these teaching videos instead of just sitting around in the staff room. Actually, I have plenty of work to do. All right, I have some minutes of meetings to complete, I have some research to be done, but I'm doing this video to help all of you. So yeah, let's go back to interactive communication. How do you widen the scope of interaction? Okay, remember in that question, right, there is like a mind map. Okay, when you bring in a new idea that is not in the mind map into the interaction, you are widening the scope of the interaction and you're developing it very effectively. Of course, that point has to relate to the topic of the discussion as well. Okay, so that is the criteria. All right, the third part is discourse management. I think I talked about discourse earlier. For part 1 is the same. All right, and language is also the same, so let's not waste time. Okay, now, so this is a brief what do you call that, layout of how to go about your speaking assessment. I've given you a flow chart here. You may take a picture of this flow chart in order to improve your presentation skills. I think I've spoken a lot about this, yeah. And most importantly, in group interaction, you are actually sort of like in a